Hey everybody, I'm Daniel from Spacedock. Star Trek V: The Final Frontier is a film that gets a lot of bad press, and that's fair enough because it's crap. But it does have some fantastic scenes in its first act that I think deserve some praise because they elevate this film to be a meaningful contribution to the franchise and provide some much-needed characterization that is often overlooked in Star Trek, but delivered really, really well in the first few scenes of this film. As the film opens in Yosemite National Park, the first question we ask ourselves is, Alistair, can you please put in a bit here where you cut to Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain?
Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain?
Thank you. Well, it's because they're all on shore leave, while the new Enterprise A is being fixed up or made functional because apparently it's not working very well. At this point in the film, you will see the terrifying words directed by William Shatner, but if you can stick around long enough to get past those, you'll eventually get to some really, really great scenes. The initial sequence of Kirk actually free-climbing El Capitan, it's fun to laugh at because obviously William Shatner is not the supreme athlete that he paints his character as in this scene, but it does have some fun banter with Spock and later with Bones, who's obviously concerned for his reckless behavior. But the best stuff comes later on when we join these characters for a campfire scene as they're sharing a meal in the forest. Now, a lot of this scene is for comedic effect. We get a lot of Spock's usual misunderstandings of human culture. The Bones-Spock dynamic is dialed up to 1,000 and it's brilliant. But we rarely get this kind of light-hearted, bantering dynamic continuing on for more than a few seconds in the show. It's normally mixed into whatever the current plot is. So it's quite nice to see the characters just out of danger, showing the audience their personalities and their connections to each other in this nice laid-back scene. There's also something to be said, particularly in Star Trek, about these characters being taken out of their disciplined military lives and put in civilian clothing in a sort of off-duty environment. It's always an opportunity to make these characters feel more grounded and to understand them as people, and it's why in various animated shows like Star Wars Rebels, it often irritates me if characters get a sort of 3D model to represent them and then their clothing is never changed or their hairstyle is never changed across the whole show. It makes them feel a little bit less human and relatable, like, you know, Ezra Bridger in Star Wars Rebels was wearing that bloody orange dungarees for the entire show. It's nice to see these characters be more than the uniform and express themselves visually and in a more laid-back environment. We get to see Bones with his whiskey-infused baked beans and the various campfire songs, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. It all sets a deliberate precedent at the start of this film to establish this triumvirate kind of relationship and how much they support each other and rely on each other, so that can later be undermined with the various cyborg stuff. But it isn't just about the banter and the lightheartedness here in this opening. It also has some more meaningful, more far-reaching characterization, particularly when Bones takes the time to point out that they spend all of this time together, years and years working in space, getting on each other's nerves, and when they get time for shore leave, they spend it together. Not only is it a reinforcement of their relationship and their friendship, but it's also a kind of somber look at how Starfleet has dominated these people's lives and how they don't have families or any other passions or commitments outside of this crew and this job. And they're all in the later years of their lives now, these characters. This is the fate they've set for themselves, which plays into the themes about aging and about regret and responsibility that is baked into a lot of these TOS movies, most masterfully in The Wrath of Khan. So these few scenes serve a bunch of different purposes, not only to reinforce that Kirk is the reckless one, and Bones is the worrying one, and Spock is the one that doesn't quite understand human culture, and they have this whole dynamic, but also to give you a more personal, less mission-focused look into the mindset of these people, where they are in their lives, where they think they're going, what they think of the choices they've made. And it's a wonderful touchstone for Star Trek. Star Trek has a tendency to feel inhuman and unrelatable a lot of the time. It's far in the future, and it's about these unfamiliar people with these strangely flawless moral philosophies that are always in perfect uniforms, and when it's not careful, it can lose all of its relatability. That's not to say it's always the case. Deep Space Nine does a brilliant job of having grounded, believable characters, but this scene takes a few characters that have in the past fallen into that trap and makes them much more tangible and relatable and endearing. So as much of a disappointment as this film is overall, and as easy as it is to laugh at its various flaws and its bizarre narcissistic Kirk scenes, this film is worthwhile simply because of these wonderful scenes at the start, and I'm glad the film exists for having given them to us. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off.
He wants to make love to the mountain.
Thank you for watching Spacedock. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please do check out the links on the screen right now or in the description below for our Patreon and channel membership services. Anything you can pledge goes towards improving our team and our equipment and allowing us to put together bigger and more exciting video projects for you guys on the channel.